Welcome to CyberScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Kash, and we're here at the Andrew Mellon Auditorium at CyberTalks. I'm here with Bill Rowan, Vice President of Federal at VMWare. Bill, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Wyatt. Thank you for having me.
Great. You know, this year has been kind of a hallmark year for hacks, Equifax, SEC, but what is your thoughts on how organizations could do a better job of thinking about their approach to cybersecurity?
Well, I think that in generally speaking, the model we have has not been working. Whether we go back to the Home Depot time, the Target situation, Treasury, Postal, State Department, we've seen it time and time again. The latest example, SEC, when they're reporting multiple hacks. We've got to change the model somehow. I think we're actually moving much more towards a zero trust model. We've started to see other companies start to look at that. We see other technology companies, Google and others, Dell, EMC talking about it. And I really think that's probably where we're going to need to go. We've got to take the approach of we don't trust anyone, and we're going to start working from that perspective backwards and see if that can help improve this this kind of reoccurring theme we seem to see on a regular basis.
Well, let's build on that. I think generally organizations have been relatively reactive in their approach. What would be a couple suggestions you might have for how organizations can start being more proactive towards cybersecurity?
Well, I think there's no question all agencies, whether we're talking at the federal or state level, have increased their cyber hygiene significantly. They understand the threat, they understand the impact downstream. I think what we're starting to see is companies or agencies take much more of an approach of this is one of the first things that's discussed in their stand-up meetings. This is one of the first things they're ensuring they've done the proper patching, et cetera, to. And reality is for years and years it was an afterthought. We see in multiple situations of some of the hacks that there were patches that should have been applied and were waited weeks and weeks and weeks because of different approval pieces. People understand they don't have time to take that type of approach. We need to understand what the good state is, manage the good state, and constantly watch what are the bad operators inside the environment.
Let's talk a little about workforce. We know there's a challenge of meeting the demand for cybersecurity talent. What would be some of the things you think organizations could change to attract and retain good cybersecurity talent?
Well, there's no question there's a entire new aspect of the workforce that's very interested in this. They find it very fascinating. They find they're making a difference. So whether we look at the Department of Defense and a lot of the training they're doing of their cyber warriors, both from a defensive end or either an offensive situation, we see that in private corporations today in the Fortune 1000, doing a lot more training on a regular basis and training the entire workforce around cybersecurity and cyber hygiene, not just the networking folks. We see the server, we see the application folks. We're going to get to a state and time where if you're building new applications, if you're in DevOps, you're thinking about how security is built into that application when you're building it from the ground up. So we actually see it as a very positive move. We're starting to see more universities, more colleges offering degrees around cybersecurity. And I think that's just the beginning. There's going to be an opportunity here across government, and I think probably in the Fortune 1000, Fortune 5000 space, where we're going to see workforces and employers want to team together to make sure they're building out a plan for their employees to always stay up on this type of opportunity and make sure they're always reducing the threat vector that exists today in the marketplace.
Lastly, cybersecurity tends to have a negative connotation. Can you name one thing in cyber that excites you and perhaps is a more positive aspect of the cybersecurity world?
Well, I think that the fact that we're actually having this conversation, 3 to 5 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The awareness level has been raised, not just at the agencies, but clearly up on Capitol Hill as well. CIOs, CFOs of those Fortune 1000s, they're all worried about it. They understand this is a board level discussion now. How are they protecting those assets that in many cases you and I have trusted with them, whether it's PII data, whether it's credit card information. We've got to do a much better job. I think that from my perspective, we see this as now a discussion that every CIO wants to have, every CISO wants to have. Again, I view that as the positive now that's one of the first things we're going to talk about is let's talk about cybersecurity, let's talk about how we keep our environment clean and keep the bad guys out. And it's going to be a constant fight. This can't be a discussion for the next 6 months. This will be a discussion we're going to be having for years to come.
Well, Bill Rowan, thank you so much for stepping out of CyberTalks to talk with us here at CyberScoop. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Look for more of our videos on our YouTube channel, and for more coverage on cybersecurity, check out more at cyberscoop.com. I'm Wyatt Kash. Thanks for watching.